Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on AM 790 right here in Memphis, Tennessee. And we've swapped out Dale Sanders for a much younger man here. It's good to have youth in the room. Frank Barton has joined us as the co-host. And good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's kind of with Dale. You've definitely downgraded now with me.
I don't know about that. We've gone from 88. We've gone to somebody 88 that's paddled the Mississippi River and done the Appalachian Trail twice to Frank Barton. So that's all right. I appreciate you being here. I want you to listen, Frank, as we talk to this next young man, because he gave me one of my memories of a lifetime here recently. You know, all you folks know about my cancer battle and all like that. But I tell you what, I forgot everything here about a month ago when I had the opportunity to go up to Reelfoot Lake with Gary Mason's media camp up there. I didn't know Nelson Northern at all, but I knew him from reputation. And then that morning I fished with the legendary Billy Blakely, and we caught 13 fish. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that afternoon I fished with Nelson Northern, and we caught 61. So you win, Nelson. You win, okay? So good morning, Nelson. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, Mr. Larry. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Let's talk because we had a chance that day to fish in what we call Ground Zero, right there in front of a certain area where there used to be a very well-known resort. Is no longer there due to the tornado of December 10th, I think, 2021, when that tornado blew through Sandburg and all through the Reelfoot Lake area. So I had a chance to fish with Nelson. He is a guide up on Reelfoot Lake out of Blue Bank Resort and things along that line. And tell our listeners, Nelson, how were we fishing that day? You tell them. You're the expert, man.
Man, we was targeting treetops. Just a lot of the storm damage that was blowed off in the lake that them bluegill get around, bed around.
Uh-huh.
We was fishing with slip corks.
Slip corks, okay.
Stuff around it.
And throwing crickets, and we were using what kind of line? What pound test line? I can't remember.
I usually use 8-pound test around them treetops. That way I can pull my. If you get hung up, you can go ahead and pull the hook out of the limbs without breaking off too much.
Yes.
And poles we use are the 6.6 TCBs by B&M.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's probably the best bluegill pole I've ever had.
Well, what kind of shirt do I have on, Frank, today?
Looks like B&M.
I got my B&M shirt on today, man. Just for you, Nelson. That'll bring back more memories and everything. But Nelson put us in his boat, me and Jeff Milam. Jeff's from Decaturville, Tennessee. And describe your boat. What were we fishing out of?
And we fish out of a 23-foot War Eagle boat.
Yes, yeah. And we were able to get up in there. Now, I'm not going to give it away. Everybody knows it. It's Cypress Point. You know, I mean, it was a day that will never be forgotten in that area up there. And we were fishing in where the tree stumps, everything had been blown into the water right there. And we weren't fishing deep, were we? I mean, we're fishing pretty shallow, right, Nelson?
Yes, sir. We wasn't fishing about sometimes 2, sometimes 4 foot deep, depending on where we was.
Yes.
The main thing I can tell you on bluegill fishing, wherever you are, depth and location is king.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
That is, you can be 6 inches to a foot away from a bed and never get a bite, or you can be fishing 5 foot of water and fishing 3 foot deep and never get a bite. That's always make sure and check your depth. That is the number one thing.
And then electronics is important too. Nelson, tell us what you got, what we were using electronically.
I used a Garmin Perspective Mode and a Humminbird 360.
Amazing. We could see the bluegill. I mean, I'd have to admit that I got so tired I had to sit down and watch for a while. You know, I mean, because Jeff and Nelson were wearing them out, and every once in a while they let the old man up there on the front. Then I'd get tired just catching them because we were catching them. I don't think we fished more than 2.5, 3 hours, not even maybe that long, did we? I mean,
no, sir.
It was each cast, and they all look like cousins to me. I mean, I didn't see any bubbles or anything like that. So, but the object of this thing, these are all good-sized bluegill too, weren't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They all, like you say, look like cousins, brothers. They was just they was in there. They had done moved in there for their first round of bedding on there, and we was lucky enough to be one of the first ones in there.
Ain't no luck, man. We were there. We were there where we were supposed to. So I know a lot of folks say, well, you can't catch bluegill out of big old bass boats like that. You proved that wrong. You were able to get up in there pretty tight too. So you have to really. This is kind of finesse fishing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what we was doing was.
Well, you were scooting up in there in between all sorts of stuff like that, and Reelfoot's. I know you've grown up on that lake, so talk about the experience of growing up on that lake, Nelson.
Man, it's just I can't think how lucky I am to be able to look out my house, and actually, right now I'm sitting here looking across the lake. And it's just it's something sometimes you might take for granted. Every once in a while, you got to sit back, and it's really, this one of a kind lake right here,
and talk about that night in December, how the lake now you can still see everything. There's still work in progress and everything. Where were you on that day?
Man, I was in December 10th. We was out duck hunting.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Had a good day. It was a warm day. We was out working just like any other day. They was hollering storms and pumping the torncon and all that stuff. And everybody around here, including myself, was like, "Oh, it's not gonna." Oh yeah. It's not gonna hit us just like it usually does. Mississippi River usually eats it up. And
yes. Yeah.
When I come off of the hill, the tornado sirens went off, and I had just enough time. I got in the house and kicked off my shoes like it wasn't nothing going on, and all of a sudden the power went out, and man, I had some calls from some groups of people that I had staying at Cypress Point, and next thing I knew, it was gone. And then when we got out looking, it was just the scene out of a horror movie.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, and again, we're talking to Nelson Northern. He is a guide up on Reelfoot Lake, based out of Blue Bank Resort, my favorite place where I go with the Hayes family and everything. And you mentioned another thing. I know we're in fishing time right now, but I was pretty amazed that you told me how many days did you duck hunt this past year, Nelson?
I got it 55 out of the 60.
Hear that, Frank? 55 days, Frank.
What happened?
What happened to those other ones?
Yeah.
Man, I had to take some days off. You got Christmas Eve, day after Christmas. I had to take a few off.
Had to take a few off to do that. Now, Frank Barton over here, he's my duck hunting man, and he lives in Arkansas. And I've hunted with Frank, and I've hunted with up on Reelfoot. The Reelfoot experience, Frank, and I'm going to let Nelson describe it. We weren't allowed to use the word unique when I was a writer at the newspaper, but I think Reelfoot is one of those unique places, isn't it, Nelson? I mean,
it is. It is very unique, man. I haven't seen another place where you hunt like what we do at Reelfoot, with the big blinds, the massive spreads. It's one of the most comfortable, productive hunts you'll be in. I mean, you roll up in the blind, you look up, to your right, to your left, there's couches, TVs, cook stoves, griddles. I mean, it's as close to being in your house as being in your house. It's no other words for it.
Well, my plan after 2 years away from it that I'm definitely going to hunt with Frank, and I want to lay on one of them couches at Reelfoot this year too. So,
well, you need to do it there because you're not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it with Frank. Okay.
I might have a griddle out there, but
well, I'll have
the rest of that.
I'll get me a Met griddle on the way or something like that. So I know that the lawyer. You grew up in that area, Nelson, if I remember, in that area there and everything. So this has kind of been. You've been doing this for a while. So which one you like the best? I know you like that duck hunting, so I'm thinking that's maybe your preference, but you guide for both.
I guide, like I say, I guide fishing and I guide waterfowl hunting, and the waterfowl hunting would be my preference.
That would be the preference. Yeah, and why? What do you like about it?
Man, it's just watching the ducks work. Seeing the different calls you make, seeing how they react to it, and just man, it's a passion of mine that was instilled in my heart by my granddad.
By your granddad, and I know you had told me that on the boat. And he's also not only just a great fisherman and a duck hunter, but he'll keep you informed. So I want you to let the people know how they can get in touch with you. Book a trip maybe coming up this year, or duck hunting. What's the best way to get in touch with you, Nelson?
Man, you can call me on my personal number at 731-504-8664, or you can call 1-877 Blue Bank.
That's it, yeah.
And book a trip through them, and we'll get hooked up.
And you won't find a better place to stay, I can tell you that. If you want to stay on the water and fish out your front door, you could do that at Blue Bank. Nelson, thank you, man. You made an old man happy about a month ago. Okay, man? All right?
Hey, look here, I just leave you with one thing. What a day, Larry Ray.
I love that, buddy. We'll see you we'll try to get up there this fall and winter sometime. Okay, man? All right?
All righty.
All right. Thanks, Nelson. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Nelson Northern, and that we'll post that on at 731-504-8664. Or just go to Blue Bank Resort, and you'll find that information. And I know that I'm looking forward to hunting with you, Frank, this year. It makes no difference.
We've been working.
We've been working. You have been working.
We've been working on a place out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and we're going to switch over to God's country. You know where I'm going. We're going to try to get the Little Red River folks over if we can find Lindsey White at Lindsey's Resort. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.